continuous activity. So it is not limited to certain goals or targets that I should achieve through prayer. Prayer is for self-creation, self-awareness, self-motivation, which I do regularly. Not for any specific achievements. That God will grant you by prayer. I don't believe that way. So my prayers are always there. Even while I talk, I pray.
Thank you very much, sir. Big round of applause for that. Thank you very much, sir. So now we will go into our next.
See, in rocket engines, we call it specific impulse, and this is a measure of its ability to convert the thermal energy into mechanical energy. And I can tell you they are world class, the top of the world. The PSL with solid boosters, rockets, have the highest of the specific impulse compared to any other motors in the world. Solid motors, that's a level. Then liquid engines, the cryogenic engine specific impulse is depending upon the thermodynamic cycle. The thermodynamic cycle defines the efficiency. So we use something called staged combustion cycle. Staged combustion cycle gives the highest efficiency. And today the cryogenic engine used in GSLV Mark II is staged combustion cycle, which has the highest efficiency. So it's one of the highest ISP engines of the world. Whereas in the GSLV Mark III we use a different thermodynamic cycle called gas generator cycle, which is a lower cycle. So it doesn't have the high efficiency. So it's a measure between complexity and efficiency. So we work out an option where the efficiency is compromised to minimize complexity. So efficiency is not only the only measure for a rocket engine. There are many other parameters: manufacturability, testability, reliability, complexity. Okay.
Yeah. That last question, I'll just take it from sir, and then I think is this the last question?
Dr. Sridhar, my name is Dr. Bandurkar. Thank you for that very magical and inspiring talk.
Already I explained. I don't have to further explain. But the outcome is not just measurable by the 5 experiments and the scientific outcome that is going to come. Outcome is really the inspiration to each one of us. And you could have seen the whole country, looking at the whole mission as a great success for a nation like India. It's not just within India, it is across the globe. I had the opportunity to meet many spacefaring nations, their leadership. They were at awe to look at India. Oh, you achieved this mission in such a low cost? And that too successfully. Landing on the moon, and especially the South Pole for the very first time, is not an easy task at all. It shows the power that India is. I think the confidence that it has brought to our midst in space technology is enormous. I think that confidence is reflected now in the future vision that has been outlined. I think this is a contribution of Chandrayaan rather than finding some minerals or new items on the moon. And the outcome is much bigger than what is visible. That's what I want to tell you. And if somebody wants to become a space scientist in ISRO, it's very easy. You know how easy it is? First is that you must be exceedingly good in your academics. So that's a minimum demand. Second, of course, you have to crack the examination that we are offering to you. For every 100 seats, we have 1,000 times applicants. So one seat, 1,000 applicants minimum. So the competition is very, very high. And if you crack that, possibility of getting into ISRO is very high in undergraduate level in engineering. If it is master's, PhD, then we have a specialized recruitment based on domain specialization. So whenever you see an advertisement, if you have a very good credentials in your master's and PhDs, of course you will be recruited. So, but the number of vacancies are small for engineering and science domain. We also take people in various domains like masters in chemistry, masters in physics, metallurgy, production, and program management and other domains as well. So, and also we take people in domains like agriculture, geology, oceanography. I think we have domains specialists in so many areas, but the number of vacancies are small because our remote sensing application people are primarily coming from science background, not engineering background. So we have that type of people. We have people in the administrative side, which gets into your degree in commerce, finance, accounts, etc. as well. So, and technicians in various skill sets. So our recruitments are regular happening. So I will only say that this route is very good. But if you have still not become a student of engineering, try to get a seat in Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology, which is an ISRO's own institute. So your guarantee of getting into ISRO is almost 100% there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We will take one
outcome as much as produced by other astronomical satellites. The uniqueness of Astrosat is still working. Are you aware that it is still working and so much of science is being done? It's not, many people don't even know about it. It has a large area X-ray, proportional counter, soft X-ray telescope, and also scanning sky monitor and ultraviolet. So we have observation various spectra for a celestial event. For example, you have a look at black hole, star explosion, supernova, or deep into the universe. And many of these observations are in certain bands. But here we have an Astrosat which is very unique in terms of the spectral distribution observation. So this gives you very important correlatable information using various frequencies. And some of the important findings for Astrosat includes identification of new solar exploration, identification of new galaxies, black holes. I think many of the astrophysicists of our generation are making use of Astrosat data. Aditya L1 mission, I think many of you would have heard about it because it happened this year, and we were sending a satellite to study the sun, right? Why sun is important for you? Sun is anyway there, shining up beautifully. Every day it rises, every evening it sets. And you don't see any change in sun, no? When you look at it. But the reality is that the sun is a very dynamic star. It has a lot of activities which influence us, especially the solar coronal emission and its impact on space weather, the climate and weather, etc. So, study of the sun has been a very continuous activity. There are many satellites launched to study sun. The latest being, anybody can tell, not other than ours? A satellite which is launched to study sun, other than ISRO's Aditya L1? Parker solar probe? Somebody said? Yeah. So there are very satellites which are recently sent to study sun, and this continues to be a global interest in understanding sun. So Aditya L1 is again a unique satellite which is made using multiple instruments. We have 7 instruments on board Aditya L1 to study. One, look at the solar corona by closing the disk of the sun and look at the corona, which is almost 2-3 diameters bigger than the sun's diameter. Then look at the solar coronal mass ejection. Look at the X-ray characteristic using soft X-ray and hard X-ray. Then again look at the particle emissions. Then also look at the magnetic effect of such emissions in the vicinity of the space between sun and earth. So all these instruments will look at a correlatable information connected with the solar mass ejection. Now, corona is a huge activity. I know tons and tons, I don't know whether ton is a right mass to be describing CME. Huge amount of mass is ejected in terms of particles, which includes hydrogen, helium, iron, and very higher elements. Everything is ejected into space, and this travels because of the magnetic effects towards Earth, and it creates a lot of effects on the outer space around Earth. So understanding this is so important. I think that's why the launch of Aditya L1 happened, and we are going to put in a very unique place called Lagrangian point L1. Reaching up to this point and then keeping it is another interesting story. So I don't know whether you are speaking about it. No, I think Mathavaraj is not speaking about it. So he said, so we will be launching. We have launched it into an Earth orbit. Then from there it has been moved out of the gravity field of Earth, and it's going towards Lagrangian point L1, which is a neutral point between Sun and Earth, where the gravities of both these bodies almost neutralize each other. But this is not a point, it's a region, because there are other bodies, multiple bodies affecting this whole process. So we have to achieve that orbit, which is called a halo orbit, in few lakhs of kilometers in diameter. So we are going to study these processes in great detail. And we are building new satellite called Expos. This is just getting ready for launch, looking at X-ray polarimetry of black holes and other objects. So this launch is going to happen on 1st of January. So all of you can watch. And the next launch is going to happen is SpaceX, trying to understand how to dock satellites in orbit. So it is important for human space flight in the future. So this is X-ray polarimeter satellite, where there are important 2 payloads called Polix and Expect. Look at the polarimetry of the radiation happening from black holes to understand its accretion of the material. See, you know, black holes take material from other stars, and when this happens, there are some X-ray emissions, and you can look at the polarimetry of this and understand the quantification of this is possible in such experiments. So this is the basis on which such instruments are built. We are also working on various science missions in the future called Disha, Venus Orbiter, Mars Lander. I think all these are still in planning. Looking at the science aspect, the design aspect, etc., still not got government approval. Of course, we will be seeking government approval for all these missions in the future. We are working on landing on the moon along with Japan. We call it UPEX mission. where the lander will be provided by India, the rover from Japan, and launch will happen in Japanese rocket. And we are also looking at future astronomy missions, creating another satellite for exobirds. Look at the exosolar planets. Do you know what is exosolar planet? Exosolar planets are the planets which are planets of other stars, not the Earth, not the Sun. So every star has got planetary system, and many of them are similar in nature to Earth. Some of them may have possibility of life existing. So it's a very interesting topic. So that's what we want to study and look at the atmosphere of such planets, because these planets are not visible because they have no light emission. So we have to do separate techniques to understand the atmosphere using the light passing through the thin atmosphere, and its spectroscopy of that will give you some idea about the nature of the atmosphere. So this is a mission. And we would like to work on a series of science missions in the future. And as I already mentioned, so I will not explain this. But the most important part is in all these science missions, we are collaborating with other nations. We are working with Japan, we are working with Europe, we are working with America. Are you aware of a satellite which is being built by India and NASA today? The satellite is in Bangalore today, called NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar, NISA satellite. It's one of the costliest satellites ever built for the Earth observation. Looking at Earth in two radar bands, L band and S band. Look at the tectonics, the ice, the water, the vegetation, and various other aspects of Earth can be measured using global observations, which are very fast compared to many other satellites. So we collaborate with France, and many other nations on building future satellites. While we build satellites, we also do a lot of science experiments in the ground. In laboratories, we have huge observational capability of radars, instruments on the ground, correlatable radar observations, balloon experiments, etc., etc. So our scientists work on various aspects of observation, including climate modeling, weather modeling, and helping other agencies in India to help us in terms of parameters that can be observed using space as well as ground-based observations. Some of you may know about the essential climate variables that decides the climate change. So how many of you are following the COP28 meeting that's happening? I don't know. Huh? Some of you are following? So the narratives on weather and how the greenhouse emissions cause the annual temperature rise of the globe, and how you can control them, how to minimize the greenhouse emissions. All these questions are very important topics. I think all of you should read it. Very important. It's not nothing space technology. It's a very simple technology to understand how greenhouse gas emissions control our future. So we study atmosphere using so many instruments like the balloons on days. We conduct ascents of balloons and measure various characteristics, and we use it on a regular basis to help model the atmosphere properly for various applications. So it's a very major activity. Along with atomic energy also has certain capacity in this, so we work with them and various other laboratories in India. Aerosols. You know aerosols? Heard about them? Some of the chemicals which actually cause a lot of issues in the atmosphere, nucleation of various activities, and how it controls the pollution and other radiation effects and suppression of the radiation. All these are important, and we need to measure aerosol emissions and characterize them to control it for the future. So this is again space and ground-based observations we carry out. We study the clouds and how clouds impact our radiation, and we have even sent satellites as well as we do ground-based radar observations continuously to understand radiative impact of clouds on Earth's weather. We also conduct experiments on rocket stages. We have an upper stage of rocket which we use instruments. Suppose some of you in colleges have an interest to build an instrument and we want to launch it. I think you should send a mail to me, and I will give an opportunity for you to build the first instrument to launch on PSLV. Are you ready? Some of you are ready to do this? So I would like to invite you, don't have to make a satellite. You can design a small instrument, a small electronic card. We will put it in rocket and then send it up and then do the experiment for your college. We are happy to do that using very low cost systems. Sometimes it will be free also for launch. So I will hope that from Goa and universities here, some of such experiments will come up in the future. And on 1st of January, when we are launching PSLV, there is such a platform. There are 10 experiments from various startups, companies, institutions, colleges we are hosting on PSLV. So I welcome you to do this in the coming days to create enthusiasm and energy in this sector. Space robotics as well as ground-based robotics. So this is another interesting area. We have a recently announced ISRO Robotic Challenge. Have you seen our website? Please go and see our website. There is an announcement of ISRO Robotic Challenge. And anybody has an idea of how to design the future robot to go in a Mars or a moon, your idea will be taken by ISRO, and possibly some of your ideas will be the one which will fly in the future. So we welcome all of you to look at our website and offer your ideas as a robotic challenge competition. We also work on human spaceflight, as I mentioned, and we have a great goal, a vision given by Honorable Prime Minister recently. He said that we must build a space station by 2035. We must also land on the moon by 2040. It's a great vision that our Honorable Prime Minister has given, and we are going to work on this. And for that, so many new things are required. I will only want to speak about it and then close my talk. Finally, we have to have a human-rated rocket, which is shown there. The Chandrayaan 3 we launched will not be the last of the Chandrayaan series. We will have many Chandrayaan launches to understand moon much better, because if you have to go and land there, you should understand moon much better than others. So we will be having sample returns or unmanned launches or robotic launches and robotic activities on space without human going there, and then finally make a human landing. We should develop newer rockets with higher capacity, so we can't take a person to moon in 42 days. When you are unmanned, you can take long duration, but if man is there or a woman is there in the satellite, then it must reach there in 4 or 5 days of time. So we need a much more powerful rockets. And finally, we must have a space station to conduct future experiments in science and technology. So these are our goals, and all these goals are going to be happening now because a clear vision by the government is there in front of us in Department of Space and ISRO, and we are going to work on it. I think all of us will vanish in few years of time. I think all you young people will be the one who will do all of this work. So I go everywhere and tell them, unless you are there to do it, none of these dreams are going to happen. I think it is a dream and vision that is given by the government, and it is your responsibility to make it happen. So I look forward for such a challenge from you. You means you don't have to be in ISRO today. I think to do all of this, as I told you, the robotic challenge being announced. The future robots possibly will be designed by a company or a startup or an individual who have a flair to do this. So you can all be part of this activity. And there are a lot of innovation and challenges we are offering. In fact, we have offered almost 100 new technology developments to Indian industry for space sector. Many technology we announced, and a lot of offers have come from Indian industries and startups to work in space sector. And you can be part of the whole journey. Today, almost 200 startups and companies are working in the space sector in various areas. At least 3 companies in rocket building, another 5 to 10 companies in satellite building, and hundreds of companies in application development and component development. I think it's a really wonderful thing to happen after the space sector has opened up. It's a huge opportunity for all youngsters to work in so many technology domains. So I like to conclude my talk saying that the Vision 2047 is for India to become a leading spacefaring nation, having a manufacturing hub for space activities, a startup ecosystem, an innovation place, a low-cost design and production area for all of us, for new generations and industries to come forward to create a vibrant space ecosystem. The whole of exploration activities are focused on creating this capability. Unless the scale of our space activities increase, none of these dreams are going to happen. And it will happen only when, with your participation, young people taking more interest, studying more on science and technology, and contributing in various ways. Whether you are in academics, whether you are in industry, whether you are in ISRO, all of you will be in a position to contribute to this greater vision. So with this, let me conclude, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed wonderful to hear you, and I'm sure